Lucian Evans 1. The young man's eyes opened to the dark expanse of his room ceiling. He blinked a few times before gradually rising and settling into a seated position. The bed provided comfort to his frail body, which could be injured by even the slightest physical effort. It had been personally designed to accommodate his delicate constitution. The exquisite blue sheets matched the color of his eyes, a rarity in Japan, and attracted significant attention. His gaze shifted towards the massive 54-inch TV that was still broadcasting the latest news and updates, casting a faint shadow over his figure. Today, the CEO of Evans Corporation is finalizing a 5-year deal with the Fourth European Arcology. While Evans Corporation had previously established agreements with the 4 Tokyo Arcologies 3 years ago, their ventures are now extending beyond the borders of the country. Yes, as Ms. Kawasaki mentioned, Mr. Kyuhei Suzuki, the CEO of Evans Corporation, is already immersed in his new project. This endeavor aims to consistently supply fresh vegetables and fruits, not only to our esteemed nation of Japan but to the global community as well. Let's now dive into the interview conducted with Mr. Suzuki on the day of the corporation's announcement. The view of the newscasters shifted, and a new video played on the TV, featuring a middle-aged man. He possessed good looks and had similar blue eyes to the young man who was watching. The man was dressed in an expensive suit, standing on an elevated platform, flanked by various corporate figures as he delivered the speech in front of a multitude of reporters. Today, we've sealed a deal with the Fourth Arcology of Europe, even amidst the conflict it experienced with the Third Arcology. Our commitment extends to providing them with our services as well. We're relentlessly striving for a world of peace and devoid of war, allowing everyone to relish the fresh, deserving produce once more. While it may come at a cost, we're dedicated to minimizing expenses for our synthetic equipment, aiming to make naturally grown fruits and vegetables affordable even for the less privileged. Looking ahead, let's focus on the future. I extend my gratitude to the Prime Mayor of the Fourth Arcology for their collaboration with our company. As he spoke, an elderly man with graying hair stepped onto the stage, holding a stack of papers in his hands. He slid them onto the desk and pushed them forward. The middle-aged man picked up the pen, signed the papers, and then they shook each other's hands. To a great cooperation, they both spoke simultaneously, their hands clasped in a handshake. The video abruptly ended as the image transitioned back to the news anchors. The young man's gaze seemed slightly weird as he fixed his eyes on the TV. As soon as the interview ended, he promptly switched off the TV, plunging the room into complete darkness. He reflected on the entire news segment, his mind retracing the events. Kyuhei Suzuki, a man revered with high esteem in today's busyness landscape. His influence stretched not only across all of Asia but also reached Europe and South America, where he's hailed as the emerging icon of the horticulture industry. Following the World War III, planet's affliction have given rise to an era of genetically modified fruits and vegetables that lacked flavor and quality. Nevertheless, under the right circumstances and environment, their natural cultivation was possible. However, with the sun hidden behind thick clouds, and the rains of acid, this task remains arduous and financially demanding. This is precisely why Evans Corporation has emerged as one of the leading symbols of the horticulture industry. They've ingeniously engineered and established a synthetic environment within specially designed domes, capable of reproducing fresh vegetables and fruits using an undisclosed technology. This groundbreaking advancement sparked an widespread search for the exact details of this discovery. Nonetheless, the CEO of Evans Corporation was not a dumb fellow, he safeguarded the entirety of the discovery as a corporate secret. His charisma, coupled with his unwavering commitments, has fostered immense trust. This very reason has propelled him to his current position, one of the prominent provider of fresh produce, exerting a near monopolistic hold over Asia, Europe, and South America. And the young man happened to be the only son of that very man. Lucian Evans. Lucian's mother was from Europe, specifically Romanian arcology. Their paths crossed in what could only be described as a deeply romantic encounter, leading to the couple falling in love, and immediately getting married. Soon after, they had Lucian. Unfortunately, Lucian's mother passed away shortly after giving birth to him. Tragically, he was also diagnosed with a severe genetic disease. Kyuhei Suzuki, a man of unwavering determination and resolute spirit, navigated through these trials. He weathered the storm of losing his wife, simultaneously dealing with the challenges his son's medical conditions brought. Admirably, he neither neglected his son nor placed blame on him. He poured all the care and affection that one could wish for from both a father and a mother onto his son. He cherished his son dearly, recognizing that this was the most important and invaluable legacy his wife had left behind. Lucian let out a sigh. Even after 18 years since her passing, he hadn't considered another woman or tried dating any. It was evident that his father truly loved his mother. He was truly a family guy. Lucian extended his hand towards the pillow and pulled out a smartphone from beneath it. Taping on the device, the screen expanded. He fiddled with the device, and soon after, the door to his room swung open, revealing a young woman dressed in a maid uniform, who entered the room. Silently, she approached the young man with a composed expression. Her gaze held a hint of curiosity, yet it remained mostly professional. She raised the bedsheet and leaned over Lucian, her actions deliberate and composed, as she began the process of gently undressing him. Before long, his attire transformed from pajamas and a t-shirt into a more comfortable ensemble that suited him well. The young man's appearance was far from ordinary. In fact, he was exceptionally appealing to look at. Yet, in a ruined world, beauty was inconsequential to most. Lucian's blue eyes met the brown eyes of the maid, as she completed fastening the final button on his shirt and met his gaze. Breakfast will be ready shortly, young master, the maid informed, stepping back and offering a subtle bow. Her graceful figure moved with refined precision, as if honed to perfection. I don't think I'll eat anything today. I don't have much of an appetite, Lucian said, his voice soft, mellow, and pleasing to hear. That can't happen, young master. I've been instructed by the master to ensure you're fed, even if it means I have to be forceful about it. If you'd like me to practically force feed you, then please decline my courteous attempt to serve you, the maid retorted in a single breath. Lucian looked at her with his pleading blue eyes, yet the maid's unwavering stare remained unaffected as she stood her ground resolutely. Fine. Unable to sway her determination, he relentlessly agreed to eat breakfast. It'll be prepared shortly. Please take your medicine in the meantime, advising that, the maid swiftly left the lavish room, the door closing almost noiselessly behind her. Once the maid left, Lucian found himself alone in the room once more. He let out a slight sigh, succumbing to the sense of boredom that had settled in once again. It's so boring. Life was boring. It became even more so when you're unable to fully utilize all your limbs for their intended purpose. The most Lucian could manage was walking a few meters. Any more than that, and he would become sick and faint. He was afflicted with cystic fibrosis, a life-threatening genetic disease that damages the lungs and digestive system. Apparently, his mother had also been diagnosed with the same disease, although her condition wasn't as severe as his. However, possibly due to being born prematurely, Lucian was more susceptible to illness. Even minor changes could significantly impact his health. But that's not all. He has also been diagnosed with alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, a condition that increases the risk of lung and other diseases. When combined with cystic fibrosis, it results in CFALD, a condition where even slight pollution, dust, or smoke can pose life-threatening risks. Thankfully, he was born into a family that could provide him with the finest treatment available, along with top-tier air filters and a home that was meticulously cleaned every hour. But that didn't do anything to alleviate his boredom and loneliness. Despite being trapped in this huge house and having everything catered to him, he couldn't shake off the sense of emptiness. He couldn't find the sense of fulfillment or achievement that he so desired. The reality is disappointing, and he isn't even certain when his life might come to an end, given that even minor malfunctions and environmental changes could potentially be fatal. He would be lying if he denied feeling scared. Lucian sighed and turned on the TV once more. The previous news had been replaced by a new anime that was playing on the TV channel. The anime featured a new game, seemingly a DMMO-RPG, which had been gaining popularity over the past few years. Give some power stones to motivate me. Any and all suggestions are welcome. There will be a chapter every 3 to 4 days, after I'm done dumping the few chapters I've written. I would very much appreciate a review. 6 comments 0 vote. Lucian Evans 2. DMMO-RPG, Dive Massive Multiplayer Role-Playing Games, were a type of multiplayer RPG where you can experience it in virtual world. It used a complex layer of technologies to utilize this feat and allows a person to connect to digital world directly, thus creating the era of DMMO-RPGs. Lucian watched the TV with a hint of amusement. The screen displayed a group of other Wolders exploring the world of Yggdrasil, a world governed by the rules of game. These individuals were trapped within the game, and now had to defeat a boss known as World Enemy, to secure their escape. The anime proved to be quite entertaining as Lucian kept his focus on the screen, momentarily forgetting about taking his medications. His gaze remained glued to the TV. Spending the day watching TV or simply wandering around the house was nothing new for him, however, stumbling upon something genuinely enjoyable was a rarity. Usually, he had to search obscure web histories to find anything that would be worthy of his precious, restricted time. He continued watching the anime as the first episode of the 20-part OVA came to an end. He let out a mixed sigh of amusement and curiosity. The game Yggdrasil was a 2-year-old DMMO-RPG that had taken the virtual world by storm in Japan. Yet, its impact wasn't confined to Japan alone. The game had spread its influence to numerous other countries. The rich arcologies were even hosting tournaments, allowing players to engage in live VR battles with others in person. These VR arenas, commonly referred to as V-renas, are widespread. They serve as the epicenter for various dueling and fighting games, drawing in crowds who want to watch an entertaining fight. These virtual battles can attract a significant audience. Some top-tier players are even able to garner endorsements from small businesses due to their popularity in the virtual world. DMMO-RPGs are extremely popular nowadays, and Yggdrasil is currently the most famous one, essentially synonymous with the genre. Anyone who knows about DMMO-RPGs is mostly familiar with Yggdrasil. Lucian had some knowledge about Yggdrasil, but he had never been interested in playing it. Although he had played a few DMMO-RPGs, Yggdrasil was not one of them. He believed that excessive traffic and popularity often made a game overrated. Despite hearing good things about the game, his skeptical nature always led him to the more obscure and rare indie DMMO-RPG titles. Furthermore, he wasn't particularly interested in multiplayer RPGs. However, he might change his opinion now, given that the OVA had piqued his curiosity about the game. Lucian took a shallow breath, experiencing a slight pain in his abdomen. Nevertheless, the discomfort was manageable for him. Gradually, he cast off his blanket and extended his legs, before rising and positioning himself near the edge of his bed. He retrieved a box of medicine from the nearby drawer, strategically placed within arm's reach of his bed. Taking out a blue pill, he promptly placed it in his mouth. The pill instantly dissolved, releasing a bitter liquid that trickled down his throat. After swallowing the pill, Lucian made his way towards the bathroom, where he proceeded to brush his teeth and wash his face, taking the opportunity to also tidy his hair. After leaving the bathroom, he walked slowly towards the living room, where the dining table was situated. Most days, he would wait for his breakfast in his room, but today he was feeling rather lively. Perhaps it was due to watching the OVA, and now he was looking forward to playing the game. Walking through the modern, well-furnished, and finely crafted wooden corridor, he soon entered the living room. The moment he stepped into the expansive room, he noticed the maid cutting and peeling an apple for him. Her attention immediately shifted to him the instant she heard his footsteps. "What are you up to, young master?" she inquired, placing the peeled apple onto the plate before approaching him. She leaned in to offer support, but he gently pushed her away as he responded. "It's all right, I can manage to walk today. Yesterday was probably due to overstimulation that I fainted." The maid looked at him, her face finally revealing a flicker of emotion as her eyebrows furrowed in worry. "Are you sure?" she asked, hesitating about whether to believe his words or not. "Yes, believe me." But looking at his sincere smile and his eyes locking onto hers, she couldn't resist allowing him to proceed as he wished. She walked behind him as he headed towards the dining table where breakfast would be served. She was ready to support him should he feel weak, following behind him like a mother hen watching over her chick. "Do you really think I'm that pathetic?" Lucian asked, taking a seat on the soft chair specifically designed for optimal comfort. "No, master, you are not pathetic," the maid responded without a moment's hesitation. She didn't even need to think over that. "Really? I think I'm pretty pathetic." Lucian sighed as he picked up a piece of apple and started eating it. "You're not pathetic, master. You're simply dealing with physical illness, and it's not your fault that you were born with this condition. Nor is it your mother's fault," without any hesitations, the maid said. Lucian went silent as he ate the slices of apple with silent noises of chewing, the only thing remaining in the room. The maid opened her mouth, breaking the silence. "Do you blame your mother for leaving you with this disease?" Lucian was taken aback for a moment, as he never expected for her to ask something sensitive like this suddenly. However, after swallowing the apple he had in his mouth, he replied to her question. "I don't blame mother, after all, She is the one who brought me into this world. Even if I was littered with disease, she is still the one responsible for my existence, so I would never blame her. Lucian then gave a slight smile as he continued. However, I do think that if she was alive, perhaps I would have felt a little better. After all, I would have someone who would shower me with her motherly love. Although I love Dad, and I appreciate his care and love for me, I would still love to have my mother. Lucian said with the same smile. His mouth curved up in slight arc, making him look like a prince as the glow of the lights inside the room illuminated his silky and smooth, slightly wet hair. His blue eyes were twinkling with a bit of moisture. Perhaps something had gotten stuck inside his eyes. Lucian was taken by surprise and had no time to wipe his eyes before his loyal maid gently hugged him. It's okay, master. Even without a mother, you have me. I'll give you all the love I can muster as your loyal maid. It's only natural for me to do my utmost for my dear master, the maid said, her words uninterrupted, as her ample bosom covered Lucian's head. He was used to being hugged like this by her. No one will say it's cringe, please. This was necessary for the story, believe me. Lucian simply hugged her back, a single tear escaping, and he smiled as the maid gently rubbed his hair. After they both calmed down, they separated. Lucian felt a bit embarrassed, while the maid was engaged in an internal struggle known only to her. Lucian picked up a piece of apple and resumed eating. This single apple was so expensive that most people couldn't afford it, but for him, it was an everyday luxury. Lucian gazed at his maid once more and asked, May, can you set up the DMMO-RPG, Yggdrasil for me? Are you intending to finally play that popular DMMO-RPG? She asked, puzzled. Although her master was a gamer, he had never shown interest in Yggdrasil. He always played unknown and obscure VR games that no one knew about. Yes, I saw the Yggdrasil's OVA. It was quite interesting, and I've also heard about a new expansion pack that added a lot of new features to the game. I think it's the perfect time to start playing. Maybe I can even get some good gacha rewards, Lucian commented while continuing to eat. Are you thinking of spending a lot of money on gacha games again? The maid asked, her expression showing a hint of concern. Yes, let me enjoy life while I'm still alive. Death will come for me eventually, sooner or later, Lucian said in a joking tone, though the melancholy in his eyes didn't go unnoticed by the maid. She felt a twinge of pain, but there was little she could do. She wasn't a god, nor a doctor who could provide solutions. She was just a maid, striving to be perfect for her unreliable master. As you wish. Leaving this few words behind, she went to the kitchen to bring the cutlery for her master. I hope this doesn't come as cringe, like my other fanfiction. I tried to make this maid and master relationship very subtle. Any suggestions are welcome. 8 comments 0 vote. Yggdrasil 1. Embark on an epic journey with Yggdrasil. Valkyrie's downfall. Prepare for an unprecedented adventure with our latest expansion. Dive into a world transformed by Valkyrie's downfall, an expansive new chapter that will redefine your Yggdrasil experience. Venture into uncharted territories within your familiar 9 realms. Uncover hidden marvels and treasures in the lands you thought you knew. Traverse new terrains within the familiar 9 realms, each offering a fresh perspective and countless secrets to discover. Conquer the unknown and confront the new dungeons. Lose yourself in the labyrinthine passages of newly forged dungeons. Forge your path through the darkness, conquering challenges that become more complex with every step. Will you be the first to reach the heart of the unknown dungeons hidden between the worlds? World champions of the 9 realms and new PvP arena. Step into the arena of legends, where warriors clash to prove their supremacy in the 9 realms. Rise to the top, carving your name into history as you compete against the finest players. Be the first to be a champion of your world. Hidden beneath the surface lies the mysterious underground. Unearth the world beneath the surface, where underground cities, ancient ruins, rare mines, and unexplored dungeons await your discovery. Craft your legend by uncovering hidden underground cities, mines, and ruins, each filled with its own stories and mysteries. New bosses. Fearsome enemies of the world. Encounter and try to discover the world-destroying, world enemies. 8 fearsome dragons. Summon your courage to face and find the 8 dragons, each a trial of skill and strategy. Join forces with fellow guild members to find and overcome these legendary challenges, and claim rewards befitting a true champion. Encounter the Lord of the 7 Deadly Sins. Test your mettle against the Lord of the 7 Deadly Sins, each hidden somewhere within the 9 realms. This is battle of epic proportions that will push your limits. With emotions shifting like the tides, only the truly skilled will emerge victorious. Join hands with other guilds to defeat the all-powerful, mighty sins. Seated on his bed, Lucien's gaze remained glued to the screen as he watched the new expansion trailer for the Yggdrasil. The teaser for the patch captured his attention, filling him with a growing sense of excitement. Until now, he hadn't explored the game's lore deeply, but it was becoming clear that every element was intricately connected. The depth of the narrative left him amazed, revealing why players were so passionate about the game. It goes on to show how much effort developers had put into the game. Unveil the power of the divine, fight the archangels of the Sephira. Prepare to test not only your strength but also your unwavering faith. As you tread into the battlefield, the archangels will make you pray to your God, challenging your devotion like never before. The foes you face are sharper, more formidable than ever. Can you rise above and conquer the mightiest of angels, those who serve under the infinity light? Enlightened 5 Rainbow Buddhas await. Embark on a quest to challenge the 5 Rainbow Buddhas, each encounter a chance to claim divine rewards and acquire rare divine class items that are found nowhere else within the game. These sacred battles will push you to your limits, but the rewards will be worth every ounce of effort. Unveil the ultimate mystery. What hidden rewards lie beyond the climax of battle? Defeat the ultimate bosses to unravel the mystery that holds the potential for game-changing revelations. Embrace your fate and spin the limited special gacha and seize destiny. The wheel of fate awaits your touch. Spin the gacha and embrace destiny, for you might just be the lucky individual who claims victory and redefines the course of Yggdrasil. Prepare for Valkyrie's downfall, an expansion that will redefine your Yggdrasil journey. Are you ready to embrace the unknown and forge your own legend? The trailer was quite lengthy, showcasing numerous features, added bonuses, and new additions to the expansion pack. However, Lucien couldn't help but notice that the trailer only provided silhouettes of the bosses, without any description or their locations. This was a testament to the game's spirit, as the developers intended for players to discover the world enemies on their own. Lucien's interest however was in the gacha. As someone who uses gacha to back his lack of reaction time and skills, he is always more interested in min-maxing his character with gacha powers, than using too much time in grinding, although he isn't a dumb guy, who won't use loopholes and the vast customization to his advantage. His next goal was definitely becoming the strongest player in Yggdrasil. Lucien shut down the video on his tablet and returned to his home screen. While his gaze wandered, wondering what to do next, while his maid was setting up Yggdrasil for him. Just then, he heard a knock on the door. Come in, he immediately responded, his anticipation evident. The door swung open, and the maid entered the room with her characteristic efficiency. The game Yggdrasil has been set up in the VR room, young master. It's ready to play, she stated in a single breath, her eyes on him. Noticing his enthusiastic smile, a faint hint of relief crossed her face, causing her to inadvertently release a sigh. Thank you, Mei, he expressed his gratitude with a warm smile. He rose slowly from the bed, placing the tablet aside, he made his way towards the VR room. It's my duty, Mei responded with a slight smile before leaving the room. She trailed behind Lucien, making sure he was comfortable and safe. Walking down the corridor, Lucien arrived at the VR room and opened the door, revealing a space equipped with 2 VR gears. Positioned in the room's corners were 2 proprietary consoles, each accompanied by a set of headgear and neurotransmitters. As soon as the sensor detected Lucien's presence, the room lit up with various neon lights, casting an array of vibrant colors across the room. Upon entering the room, his attention was drawn to the 2 consoles. Resembling beach chairs, they radiated an inviting comfort. However, these were no ordinary seats. They had been specially designed for extended usage, ensuring optimal comfort during long sessions. Lucien settled into the chair on the left side, and as he did, the headgear lit up in response. Mei stood in the corner, ready to assist if anything arose during his setup, planning to stay in the room until he fully immersed himself in the game. Lucien grasped the extended cable that connected the neurotransmitter to the proprietary console. This neurotransmitter uses the console's capabilities to establish a connection with the player's cerebral cortex. It utilizes an ultracranial nano-computer network known as the Neural Nano Interface, an innovation created from the fusion of the cyber and nanotechnology. This synergy allowed for a direct interfacing with the brain's synaptic pathways, allowing for a seamless exchange of data and sensory information between the digital world and the human mind. In simple words, it allows a user to dive into a virtual world and experience it as if it were real. However, even the most advanced DMMO-RPGs still struggled to overcome the technological hurdle of properly modeling the changes in a virtual character's face in response to the player's emotions and speech. In accordance with the software legislation for virtual reality games, DMMO-RPGs were prohibited from providing sensory data for smell and taste. Additionally, the sense of touch was also heavily restricted to prevent confusion with the real world. Lucian took the neurotransmitter and swept his black hair behind his ears, revealing a neural port designed for the insertion of the transmitter. Gently connecting the transmitter, he reclined and picked up the VR helmet emitting a soft green glow. It was designed to cover only half of the face, covering the entire area of the eyes. These helmets were originally supposed to be full-faced, but they were compromised due to the well-versed hackers who could utilize others' brains as a springboard to commit crimes. Thus, special helmets were designed to include a system that would record everything happening in the virtual world, retaining the footage for a month before automatically deleting it. These monthly records served to document the user's actions, providing evidence of their innocence even if the wearer was implicated in a crime. One could say this was the safety net of the computing world. In contrast, not having one of these helmets greatly increased the chances that one might be charged when involved in a crime, so only a handful of people chose not to wear them. Darkness greeted Lucian as he put on the helmet. Settling in and relaxing, he gazed into the darkness ahead. "Link start," he said aloud. I know. It looks like I'm stretching this up, but I'll make sure it's worth the wait. Give some power stones for motivation. Any and all suggestions are welcome. 6 comments 0 vote. Yggdrasil 2. Link start, he said aloud. A weird sensation trickled down his body, and he felt himself detach from reality for a moment before emerging in a clear blue interface. It displayed an interface consisting of multiple windows with various games and applications ready to be opened. He used his hand to swipe through the interface, and the game Yggdrasil finally came into view. Glowing golden letters were suspended in front of him within a window, seemingly inviting him to immerse himself in the vast world that awaited. With a simple finger gesture, he tapped on the game, and soon he found himself floating in a white space with a translucent golden interface hovering before his eyes. Welcome to Yggdrasil. These golden letters greeted him, followed by tutorial available. Do you want to go through tutorial? Yes, no. Lucian glanced at the options and pressed yes. Swiftly going through the tutorial, he absorbed the information about character creation and other stuff. The process took him a total of 20 minutes, but it was a worthwhile investment as the game mechanics were undeniably interesting. While Lucian was aware that Yggdrasil offered extensive character customization that left players astonished, now that he dived into the game himself, he understood its true greatness. This game was undoubtedly a hidden gem he had been missing out on. As he mentally absorbed the character customization guide, he searched for any potential loopholes he could exploit. The game's mechanics were detailed, with each element being complex and intricately tied to a backstory. At this point, he was only familiar with the most fundamental aspects of the game. Lucian looked at the new interface hovering before him. Enter the game. Yes, no. He selected yes once again, and felt himself shifting through space, arriving in a huge hall filled to the brim with numerous humanoid silhouettes of various individuals, all resembling each other. His eyes drifted to all the corners of his vision. In the top left corner of his vision, he noticed a screen displaying his character's name, which was empty. Any further details such as race or class were also devoid of any further details since he hadn't made those choices yet. The top right corner of his view displayed the time, which read 10:45 in the morning. In the bottom left corner, another interface caught his attention, featuring options such as menu, chat, call GM, and log out. On the bottom right corner, a mini-map was displayed, currently white and devoid of any markings or information. In the center of his vision was a small rectangular window displaying the name of the place. Place. Character Creation Room. He was indeed in the Character Creation Room. Lucian looked at each corner and observed people appearing, disappearing, and reappearing as they finished customizing their characters. His attention then turned to the window floating at the center of his vision. Character Customization. Choose an in-game name. Warning. The name will be visible to other players and on the ranking board. Lucian tapped on the empty box, and a keyboard appeared. He slowly typed his real name, Lucian, which he always used because he loved his real name. Error. Name already in use. What? Lucian audibly gasped, but it wasn't shocking as he sighed and chose another name. Lucian 0. Error. Name already in use. Lucian 01. Error. Name already in use. What the heck? Lucian cursed under his breath. Right now, even if he cursed, no one would hear as the audio chat function is currently off. Deciding that it wasn't going to work and frustrated by the error, Lucian chose a name that no one would probably have used. Lucy. Name registered successfully. Seeing the confirmation, Lucian's eyes twitched as he realized no one would use such a weird and cringy name. Sighing, Lucian looked at the new options that had appeared before him. Now he had to choose between the three major races in the game. Humanoid. Description: a flexible race with humanoid appearance that provides a wide range of benefits and reliable job class coverage due to the absence of racial classes. Races available: Human, Elf, Dark Elf, Light Elf, Rainbow Eye, Winged Human, Dwarf, Sharphorn, Four Eyes, Wild Elf, Faith Sapien, Forthan, Prasia Tailfolk, Shadow Touch, Petra Tib Neeg Maneva, Jin Albashara, etc. Demi-humanoid. Description: a race of human-like beings with varying physical attributes, some possessing partly upright postures and animal-like features. They offer a balance between job and race class stats. Races available: Giant, Centaur, Goblin, Kobold, Lizardman, Merman, Minotaur, Ogre, Troll, Nekomimi, Mandrake, Tuvage, Naga, Dragonkin, Vulpaculi, Houndman, Panthern, Elephant, Equine, etc. Heteromorphic. Description: inhuman, monstrous races. Most of these races possess monstrous features and appearances, and can only appear human through further customization. They can choose to dedicate leveling up to racial classes, limiting their job classes, or vice versa. Races available: Undead, Angel, Zombie, Demon, Doppelganger, Dragonoid, Golem, Insect, Plant, Slime, Skeleton, Vampire, Lycanthrope, Ghost, Elemental, Dullahan, Birdman, Homunculus, Castkin, Chernobyl, Fairy, Spirit, Yukai, Siren, Xana, etc. Looking at all the races available, even Lucian felt a little shaken and dazed. This was the first time he had seen such a level of customization and options available for a player to choose. And this was just the beginning phase of character customization. No wonder their slogan, Player Freedom, finally made sense, as there's literally every race that he could think of. Some might be humanoid, some might be demi-human, while some are heteromorphic. Lucian contemplated the available options, his decision-making process driven by impulses, urges, and desires. He was the type to think about the outcomes later on. Although his knowledge of the game was limited to the basics, Lucian decided to choose a heteromorphic race, as all the races he was interested in fell under that category. Specifically, he had his eyes set on three races that stood out to him: Vampire, Angel, Dragonoid. Each of these races was one he had chosen or played in other DMMO-RPGs or RPGs in general. Although he wasn't familiar with the available racial classes for Dragonoid, he was eager to find out. Whether it was a proper dragon or not, it was evident that it had some draconic qualities. And vampires needed no introduction, they were known as night-crawling bloodsuckers that thrived on darkness and desire. As for angels, well, Lucian had a soft spot for Gapmo and wouldn't mind being an angel character, while having the most negative karma in the game. After all, even karma affected the damage dealt and taken in this world. Looking deeply at the three races, Lucian calculated the most optimal, cool, and overpowered build he could create in the game. He tapped on the vampire icon, and a more descriptive screen appeared. Race: Vampire. Description: a race of heteromorphic creatures with an affinity for blood and night. These immortal night crawlers are a crossbreed between bats and humans, granted magical potential and immortality by their inhumane constitution. They are undead monstrous creatures with very few human qualities, and even less humanity, as their karma is always in the negative. Racial traits: high regeneration, kin creation, ice type, damage resistance, weapon resistance, life drain. Classes available: Vampire, Vampire Knight, Vampire Caster, Vampire Lord, Vampire Noble, Vampire Assassin, Vampire Scholar, Vampire Alchemist. Looking at the available racial classes, Lucian could understand that each of these classes catered to different types of players. For those who wanted to focus on maxing out a specific stat, there were the specialized vampire classes. On the other hand, for those who simply wanted to benefit from the general racial powers of vampires, the normal vampire class was sufficient. This class would distribute the precious racial stat points evenly, rather than focusing on maxing out a single stat. He then shifted his attention to the angel icon and tapped on it. Race: Angel. Description: a race of heteromorphic beings created by the Infinity Light. Their specialty lies in granting blessings and possessing high magical power. They are beings of high moral value, displaying virtues to the utmost. Great commanders, they have the capability to empower humanity through their commands. Angels come in various forms, but most share a featureless, doll-like appearance that can vary depending on the type of angel. Racial traits. Holy aura, high regeneration, dark type, damage resistance, weapon resistance, grant blessing, faith generation, positive aura, immunity to negative aura. Classes available. Angel, Angel Warrior, Angel Scholar, Angel Apostle, Devotee Angel, Guardian Angel, Angel Scribe, Angel Sentinel. Race. Dragonoid. Description. A race of heteromorphic creatures created from worldly energy. Designed to be perfect for nature but inherently imperfect and unnatural for magic. With sturdy natural armor, they are unable to learn magic but can still utilize MP through skills like their dragon breath. Racial traits. Natural armor, weapon resistance, piercing resistance, breath attack resistance, natural breath attack, intimidation aura, magic resistance. Classes available. Lesser Dragon, Dragonborn, Draken, Wing, Esakra, Burn, Drakarn. I had a description for each of those races in my mind, and I could have wrote them all, but I know no one will be interested. Anyway, give some power stones. Any and all suggestions are welcome. 6 comments 0 vote. Yggdrasil 3. Looking at the racial traits of the Dragonoid race, Lucian immediately crossed it off. There was no way he was going to play this game and not have magic, especially when he learned that there were over 6,000 spells to learn and master. The sheer number of spells astonished Lucian, although many of them were probably convenience spells. The amount of magic available was still shocking to him. The magic levels were divided into tiers from 1 to 10, with an additional 11th tier known as a super tier, which only magic builds were able to cast. These super tier spells were more like special skills, as they didn't consume MP but were limited in terms of the number of times they could be cast per day, according to the guide. Lucian obviously wanted to create a character that excelled in both magic and combat, preferably a magical knight or something similar. Looking at the Dragonoid race made him realize that it was impossible for him to be a Dragonoid and have access to magic. Cutting it off from his options left him with the choices of Angel and Vampire. Angels seemed like a good option due to the available racial classes, which appeared to be quite strong. However, looking at the racial traits, Lucian was both surprised and intrigued by their numerous advantages. But the karma aspect gave him pause. While most angels had positive karma, he considered that fallen angels might not. To make a worthwhile build, he might have to heavily invest in his racial class. Additionally, angels appeared to be a magic-focused race, which could potentially leave him lacking in physical strength if he chose that racial class. That left him with the option of becoming a vampire. The vampire racial class was well suited for both magic and physical attacks, with multiple class choices available, including Vampire Knight and Vampire Caster. However, the more balanced option was simply the normal vampire class. Lucian speculated that by selecting this class, he might eventually unlock a higher-tier racial class. In the end, after a few moments of contemplation, he made his decision and chose the vampire racial class. As soon as he made his choice, his avatar, which initially resembled a silhouette like others, transformed into a more bestial and monstrous form. He examined his hands and noticed they appeared pale, with veins protruding and claws that looked dirty and grotesque. His fingers were large, resembling those of a monstrous creature. When he opened the menu and accessed the character customization option, a hideous and monstrous-looking creature appeared suspended on the screen. It had bat-like wings, a noseless face, and a monstrous body that stood tall and appeared pale. The creature resembled something straight out of a horror movie, and its appearance even took Lucian by surprise, as he had never seen such a grotesque monster except in movies. And now he had become that monster. This feels violating. The thought of being such a hideous creature was unappealing and disgusting to him. However, he was well aware that he could change his appearance using the creator tools available in the game once he leveled up or gained access to the shop and gacha. He planned to change his character's appearance at the earliest opportunity. As Lucian gazed at the monstrous creature, he saw various options for customization, from elongating limbs to altering the torso. He tried his best to make it look as normal as possible, but it still appeared quite unsettling. Sighing in frustration, Lucian decided to move on and focus on choosing his job classes. A seemingly endless list of base job classes appeared before his eyes as he scrolled through the options. With over 2,000 basic and advanced job classes available, some required specific prerequisites to be met for unlocking, while many were readily available for players during the beginning of their playthrough. The first classes that caught Lucian's attention were Blood Drinker unlocked. Blood Sworn unlocked. Bloodborne unlocked. Blood Chaser unlocked. These classes seemed tailor-made for vampires and were accessible because he had chosen vampire as his racial class. They wouldn't have been available otherwise. Looking at the classes, Lucian went through each of them. Class: Blood Drinker. Description: the class allows the player to manipulate blood and convert it into resources that can be used to strengthen the user and allies. Skills, abilities available: Blood Frenzy, Blood Pool, Blood Store, Blood Consume, Blood Construct. More can be unlocked after leveling up the class. Class: Bloodborne. Description: this class allows the player to manipulate the blood inside one's own body to harden it and use it as armor, increasing physical strength and defense. Skills, abilities available: Blood Armor, Crimson Claw, Blood Enhancement. More can be unlocked after leveling up. Class: Blood Chaser. Description: this class allows the user to manipulate blood to track other players and debuff them by poisoning their blood. Skills, abilities available: Crimson Spit, Frenzied Search, Mark of Blood, Blood Corruption. More can be unlocked after leveling up. Examining the three classes, Lucian realized that each class was tailored for a specific play style that players might need. The Blood Drinker class suited magicians, the Blood Chaser class was ideal for support roles, and for warriors who preferred melee combat, the Bloodborne class was a perfect fit. To Lucian, the last option, Blood Sworn, seemed to be the better choice, as it offered superior capabilities compared to the others. Class: Blood Sworn. Description: this class enables the user to utilize their own blood and the blood of others in their vicinity to enhance their physical and magical abilities. This leads to faster spell casting and speed boosts. Skills, abilities available: Blood Bane, Blood Control, Crimson Harmony, Death Chase, Drop Strength. More can be unlocked after leveling up. Lucian understood that this class might not be suitable for those who didn't want a specialized build, but for those aiming to become a magic knight or a similar character, this class was a blessing. Without a second's hesitation, Lucian chose the Blood Sworn class. He knew he could choose more job classes later, as levels could be added to any class as long as he used his menu to do so every time he defeated an enemy. Although Lucian wanted to have other classes, he decided to focus on leveling up the ones he already had first. Finally done with his character creation and customization, a screen appeared before his eyes that marked the start of his journey. Please choose one of the 9 realms. Asgard, Vanaheim, Alfheim, Jotunheim, Niflheim, Midgard, Muspelheim, Nidavellir, Helheim. Looking at the options, there was a description for each of the worlds. Going through them all, Lucian decided on Muspelheim, a place of burning heat, filled with rivers of lava and flaming rocks. A place that one would say is not fitting for vampire, yet he decided to choose that, because he liked the map of Muspelheim. Soon, a detailed map appeared in front of his eyes. Choose a location to spawn in. Lucian noticed that when he tapped on a city, he was rejected with the message, unavailable. It seemed that being a heteromorphic in this game came with a penalty, it wouldn't allow him to spawn in a city. Looking at the terrain and considering what he knew, Lucian chose one of the central safe zones in Muspelheim to spawn in. The further you ventured from the center, the more dangerous it became. A timer appeared in front of his eyes as he waited to spawn in the game. The timer went down from 10 to 0 in an instant, and Lucian felt a falling sensation before materializing within the safe zone he had chosen to spawn in. His eyes took in the surroundings. A river of lava flowed down to his left, while to his right was a forest with burning red trees that wriggled around as if alive, seemingly inviting him. Where he was standing was a safe zone, as there was a cone located in the center with safe zone displayed over it. The cone provided a safe environment here where no monsters would attack and players wouldn't harm each other. The surroundings appeared grim and hot, but there was no burning sensation. The sky was enveloped in smoke, its reddish hue resembling flames that had consumed the ground. Lucian immediately accessed his console and reviewed his stats. These look terrible. Well, I guess I can't expect much at level 0, Lucian mumbled to himself, disappointed by his pathetic stats, with the highest value being only 4. Luckily, Lucian had spawned in an area where the surrounding monsters were at most level 12. This meant he could handle them as long as he proceeded with caution. However, it's time to access the cash shop. So what if I can't get good stats now? I can pay my way through it. Lucian exclaimed with a touch of sarcasm, as he pulled out the cash shop menu with a smirk on his face. As soon as he opened the cash shop, he was greeted by a flurry of items and even some gachas that allowed players to roll for specific types of items and many more things. Lucian looked at all the cash shop items. Well, it's time to tap till I get bored, Lucian said as he started buying gacha items one after another. A person seeing this from a third-person perspective would probably think of him as a cheater and a spoiled brat. So what? That's how the world works. If you have money, you can get whatever you want, even if it's some cheat-like item in a game. Ring of medium enhancement. Description: a finely crafted ring adorned with shining runes. It uses the player's MP to increase the stats. Effects: temporarily increases the player's physical stats by 20% for a duration of 2 hours. Unleashes 20% more damage against element-less monsters. Cost 4,000 yen. Whispering Wind Scroll. Description: an ancient parchment infused with magic, it holds the power to communicate across great distance. Effects: enables the player to establish a mystical link with friends in any distance, allowing for swift and clear communication. Cost 5,000. Embersteel Sword. Description: a blade forged with enchanted embersteel metal, it emits a fiery glow. Effects: deals an additional 25% fire damage. Unleashes the burn effect through rapid strikes. Cost 6,000 yen. Frostbite Dagger. Description: a dagger with a blade imbued with the frost aura. Effects: inflicts frostbite. Amplifies damage by 35% against enemies susceptible to icy elements. Cost 8,000. Mystic Amulet of Divination. Description: a beautiful amulet adorned with mystical runes, it grants insight into lurking mysteries. Effects: uncovers the enemy types present in the area. The total radius is 200 meters. Cost 10,000. Mask of Negation. Description: an intricately designed ornate mask that wards of negative energy. Effects: grants a level 3 negative immunity, shielding against dark curses and negative debuffs. Cost 20,000 yen. Enchanted Quill. Description: a quill pulsing with unknown magical power. Effects: supercharges the written words, amplifying the potency of scrolls, runes, and inscriptions by a staggering 70%. Cost 25,000. Shub Niggurath's Tentacle. Description: a sinister, otherworldly tentacle that writhes with chaotic, negative energy. Effects: functions as a catalyst for crafting negative and dark magic artifacts. Empowers the potency of corresponding spells, scrolls, and items by an astounding 200%. Cost 45,000 yen. Gambler's Dice. Description: a pair of dice with a touch magical luck. Effects: increases the drop rate of rare items, and gold during quests and battles by 65%. Cost 200,000 yen. Cloak of Unknowable. Description: a silken cloak woven with the essence of darkness and silence. Effects: grants permanent invisibility akin to the 5th tier spell, Invisibility. Can be activated for a 30-minute bout of Perfect Unknowable, the 9th tier spell every 2 hours. Cost 50,000. Sorry if the prices feel wrong, I didn't know how to price each of them. The more Lucian scrolled, the higher the prices went up. However, Lucian didn't care about anything as he tapped on the items to buy as much as possible until the items became unavailable to buy. Due to being sheltered all his life, Lucian's common sense was just as underdeveloped as a toddler's. The value of money was not something that Lucian understood, as everything in his life had been catered to him, and money was never an issue. Although the numbers went up, Lucian didn't care and bought anything he could. That's always how he did it in other games, though. Unless it was a normal VR RPG, which he preferred to clear using his own hard work, as everything went according to the planned story. After getting tired of buying items from the endless cash shop, he turned his attention to the items he had in his inventory. He had also purchased the infinite inventory from the cash shop, which essentially granted him an unlimited amount of storage space. This meant he didn't have to worry about running out of space in his inventory, unlike normal first-time players who have very limited storage. After finishing his spending spree, Lucian turned his attention to his character customization options. He accessed the creator tools and applied custom skins and textures that he had purchased from the cash shop. His goal was to make his previously hideous vampiric character look as close to his own appearance as possible. I have a lot of items in my mind that I wanted to list on the cash shop, but I'll save that for the new world. Give some power stones for motivation. Any and all suggestions are welcome. 13 comments 0 vote. Boss Monster. In the heart of the blazing forest, where burning trees swayed eerily, a player battled against a horde of monsters. With skillful movements, he cut through the creatures one by one, effortlessly navigating his way through the fray. I didn't know this forest was so good for leveling up. Lucian, now a changed man, cleaved through hordes of flaming goblins, each of them wielding flames in their hands, as he skillfully used his scythe to cut through their bodies with ease and absolute precision. Every time the scythe touched the monsters, it applied an instant death effect, easily granting them instant demise. The cleaving was merely an additional feature that Lucian had incorporated into the weapon by adding more data crystals. However, there were too many of these goblins. Unlike the typical goblins who would often appear half-naked, only covering their private areas, these goblins were each clad in metal armor that protected their vital parts. They also wore caps resembling miners and wielded hammers in one hand, while flames flickered in the other. Lucian currently stood about 20 meters away from a cave situated right next to a stream of lava, which the goblins were fiercely defending. This cave housed a boss monster, and players had to defeat the goblins before they could confront the boss. As for how Lucian learned this, it was thanks to the bestiary he won through a gachapon. Now, you might be wondering, what was gachapon? Well, it was essentially a gacha shop that offered a chance to win numerous rare gacha items. Rare items were what players aimed to obtain. Gachapon had a variety of gachas, each featuring its own set of rare items. This meant players had a shot at winning their favorite gacha items from gachapon. What he won was a bestiary that provided detailed information on monsters ranging from level 1 to level 80, excluding the boss monsters. It included their attack pattern, weaknesses, and more. There was another bestiary he received as a reward for completing his first story quest, but to his disappointment, it was an empty bestiary containing only pictures and names of the monsters, without any additional details. However, the details of these goblins were available in the quest as well, since he had to eliminate 200 of them to complete the current story quest he was doing. Lucian cleaved through the last Yggdrasil. This was the name of this particular species of goblins. Well, it's a good thing I'm already level 33. Otherwise, I would have had a tough time fighting all those level 40 plus Yggdrasils with just my physical attacks. Lucian spoke to himself as he waved his stoic avatar's head, shamelessly forgetting the fact that his scythe was a divine class weapon imbued with instant death effects, capable of eliminating opponents without any effort. The avatar now resembled a young man similar to his real-life self, bearing a striking resemblance. Lucian had invested a significant amount of time designing it, using numerous paid skins and textures to make it as realistic as possible. Lucian was currently adorned in a lightweight armor of red hue with intricate golden outlines. The red color would glow when Lucian engaged in combat, though it had now dimmed to its normal state. This armor had the special ability to enhance his physical stats during battle. Likewise, the golden lines would illuminate when he channeled his MP to boost his magical stats. This armor was another divine class item, acquired through a real cash auction he participated in just last night. Divine class items were exceptionally rare, a rarity even among level 100 players. After all, divine class items were the ultimate pinnacle of what Yggdrasil had to offer. In the hierarchy of gears and items class, it progressed from low to middle to high to top to legacy to relic to legendary, with divine being the highest and most coveted. However, it still wasn't the highest tier an item could reach. There was one more level above it, known as world class. World class, something Lucian had no prior knowledge of. He only discovered it 4 days ago when he purchased a premium Yggdrasil wiki subscription after seeing an advertisement for the website. World-class items were shrouded in mystery for most players. Even if they possessed some knowledge about them, they chose to keep it concealed. Yggdrasil was a game of exploration, as emphasized by the developers, and players were encouraged to uncover its secrets themselves. In Yggdrasil, information about nearly everything was left for players to discover, a treasure trove for high-level players. The only thing Lucian knew about world-class items was their potential to alter fundamental aspects of the game, making them exceptionally game-changing. Lucian was determined to obtain a world-class item, no matter what. After all, he loved this game and wanted to discover everything about it. Even though he had only been playing it for 2 weeks. He had become addicted to it. The thrill of leveling up filled him with an unmatched sense of achievement. Despite having played numerous DMMO-RPGs before, this one provided a satisfaction like no other. This level of satisfaction was brought to him by the effort he put into the game. The game's details were enormous too, with brilliant layers of flavor text, often 3 or more, for almost everything. Whether it's a place or an item, everything has intricate detail, without any loopholes as he tries to find them but he's not able to. He had broken many games before by exploiting loopholes through the excessive use of cache items or similar methods, but Yggdrasil proved different. he couldn't achieve that here. Despite numerous items and features being locked behind paywalls, they were not essential for a normal playthrough, and even if someone obtained them, they wouldn't be able to disrupt the game. Lucian, on the other hand, had set a determined goal to become a master player, regardless of the challenges he faced. Lucian looked at the rectangular screen displayed in front of him. Place: Platinum Ashen Grotto Type: Dungeon. Lucian took a deep breath as he unequipped his scythe, his primary weapon, because, of course, he loved scythes. Lucian then checked his stats, which he had leveled up twice while killing the horde of Yggdrasil at the entrance of the cave. IGN. Lucy. Heteromorph. Alignment. Neutral evil. Karma. -100. Level. 35. Racial class. Vampire, LVL, 10 max. True Vampire, LVL, 1 up pointing arrow. Job class. Bloodsworn, LVL, 9 up pointing arrow. Sea Lancer, LVL, 3. Arcane Disciple, LVL, 12. HP 43/45. MP 50/50. Physical attack, 42. Physical defense, 45. Agility, 35. Magical attack, 45. Magical defense, 45. Resist, 40. Special, 35. Lucian's stats were exceptionally high for his level. In fact, some might even accuse him of cheating with his MP stat at 50, all while only being at level 35. However, this was all thanks to him using numerous cash shop items to maximize his stat gains with every level up. Although it cost a substantial amount of money, it was a price Lucian was willing to pay for a more enjoyable experience. Lucian had also unlocked a new racial class in his racial class tree, True Vampire. This class provided a significant boost in both physical and magical stats, but what made it truly remarkable were the skill points and special abilities it offered. However, there was a drawback: it altered his original vampiric appearance, making it even less appealing. Fortunately, this was concealed by the cosmetics and customizations Lucian had applied. Yet, it still reverted to its hideous, monstrous lamprey-like appearance when he activated his powerful racial skills, which was why he refrained from using them. As for Lucian's new job classes, Sea Lancer and Arcane Disciple were two classes he had unlocked purely by coincidence, thanks to winning 2 gacha items that granted access to special job classes. Job class. Sea Lancer. Description: a long-forgotten class of warriors once revered as the Lords of the Seas. These warriors were blessed by the sea god Poseidon himself. Sea Lancers stand as the most formidable champions of the ocean, representing various races, from rainbow eyes to ghouls. Skills: Aquatic Boost, Song of the Sirens, Aqua Step, Whale's Call, Kraken's Grasp, Coral Command. Abilities: Poseidon's Blessing, Call of the Sea Lord, Oceanic Dominion. This class offered a blend of both magical and physical abilities, granting him multiple skills capable of dealing both magical and physical damage, for which he was truly grateful. As for the other class, Arcane Disciple, it provided him with a significant magical boost, which explained why he had 50 in MP. Though Lucian desired to build a versatile character, he still liked magic more because being a mage was easier for him than being a warrior. He understood that he couldn't compete with skilled warriors, as they typically possessed sharper reflexes in the virtual world, a trait he lacked. Having been sheltered all his life and plagued by physical ailments, his reflexes were sluggish even in the virtual reality. However, he compensated for this deficiency by maximizing his physical stats, which surpassed those of the average player, thanks to his classes that granted him additional powers. Lucian looked at the huge cave before him. He could see Ignis ores stuck all over the cave. If a lower-level player with a job class related to crafting or blacksmithing were here, they would undoubtedly dive into the cave to mine these metals. However, Lucian had no interest in it. He fixed his gaze on the cave ahead and dove right in. After another 20 minutes of exploration and dispatching more than 70 additional Yggdrasil, Lucian finally stood in front of the boss room. He gazed at the massive gray creature sleeping atop the elevated rock, now taking on an ashen hue. The monster resembled a lizard, its body covered in gleaming metallic scales. Its eyes remained shut as Lucian had yet to breach the radius necessary for the boss to detect him. Ashen Platinum Salamander. Level 55. HP 70/70ths. MP 2020. Danger, mid. Class, SQ boss. This was a boss monster, not a raid boss, but a standard quest boss monster. Raid bosses typically required a party or multiple parties to defeat and were usually capped at level 70 or higher. In contrast, normal boss monsters could be of any level and provided better rewards if a low-level player managed to defeat them. They often respawned after an hour or so, unlike regular raid bosses, which could take days or even weeks. These were entirely distinct from world enemies, which could only be defeated once and would never appear again. This boss monster was a quest boss, offering higher experience points thanks to the additional express from completing the quest. Additionally, Lucian was using 2x boost cards to accelerate his grinding speed. What Lucian was currently doing was power leveling. Basically, he aimed to reach level 90 as quickly as possible for one significant reason and one minor one. The minor reason being that he wanted to reach level 90 with a formidable build, allowing him to interact with other players. He had realized something utterly frightening, though it didn't concern him much. Heteromorph players were hunted throughout the game, a fact that troubled him slightly. When Lucian chose the heteromorphic race, he was unaware that it would make him a target. In just 2 weeks of playing, he had already encountered 2 players who tried to kill him upon seeing him, both having humanoid avatars as evidence of their race. Lucian was at a very low level during that time, only level 20, just 3 days ago when he encountered them. He initially thought they would leave him alone, but no, they attempted to kill him and came dangerously close to succeeding. Fortunately, he had obtained numerous cash shop items, and the players weren't very high level, being only at levels 74 and 76 respectively. So, he used magic scrolls, which are parchment scrolls enchanted to contain a spell. He used 2 tier 10 scrolls of carnal destruction, a highly damaging arcane destruction type spell, and successfully killed them while they were caught off guard. They didn't expect a low-level player at level 20 to possess an item typically reserved for higher-level players. Not to mention, it was one of the most rare tier 10 spells, Carnal Destruction, which summoned 7 carnal sins to attack simultaneously with their most powerful abilities. Lucian gave a slight smirk as he recollected the events of 3 days ago, just before stepping inside the boss room. This is all the chapters I've stockpiled and written. The next chapter will be tomorrow. If I get a few power stones, then I can double the chapters and give it to you guys. Kindness writer. Give some power stones for motivation. Any and all suggestions are welcome. 8 comments 0 vote.